All right, let's jump right in. Have you ever really thought about how a secret of this magnitude, I mean a truly cosmic secret, could actually be kept under wraps? We're not talking about some movie-style shadowy cabal. Today, we're going to break down a really detailed theory on the real-world anatomy of that very secrecy.
So the big question right off the bat, is it really some all-powerful group, like the Illuminati pulling all the strings, the kind of thing you read about online? Well, according to the source material we're looking at today, the reality is way more complicated and honestly a lot more human than that. So to really get our heads around this, we're going to look at 5 key pieces of the puzzle. First, who's actually in control? Second, the nuts and bolts of how these secrets are kept. Then, we'll talk about the weapon of ridicule, the huge motive behind all this secrecy, and finally, what's proposed as a path forward for all of us.
Okay, first up, let's really tackle that classic image, right? The idea of a single, all-powerful group running the show. The theory we're digging into says the real picture of control is, well, it's a lot messier than that.
The popular idea is that it's one group, the Illuminati, the Bilderbergers, you name it, that's in charge of everything. But this thesis argues that's just a simplistic fantasy. The real structure is described as this messy, decentralized web of different human interest groups and cartels that are all competing. Sometimes they work together, sure, but a lot of the time they don't.
So who are these players then? Well, the source material says it's not really about governments. It's about transnational groups. You can almost think of them like a board of directors for the entire planet, operating completely outside the normal chain of command. And they supposedly pull in key people from giant corporations, from finance, from the tech world, and yeah, even from religious factions.
But hold on. If it isn't one single group, how in the world could a secret this huge possibly be kept? Well, the theory says it all boils down to one core mechanism: compartmentalization. It's like a true need-to-know maze.
Now, the key here isn't just having a top-secret clearance. The source claims almost 1 million people have that. No, the real secret is the compartment you're in. The idea is that information is so walled off, so segmented, that the person working in one cubicle has absolutely no idea what the person in the next one is doing, and neither of them has any clue what the project's ultimate goal is.
And this system is apparently so incredibly effective that the very people you would assume have to be in control, we're talking corporate chairmen, top senators, even presidents of the United States, are actively and deliberately kept out of the loop.
The source tells this amazing story from a dinner party where the former chairman of Stanford Research International, a huge research institute, supposedly said this exact thing. I mean, think about that. He ran the entire organization, but he wasn't read in on its most sensitive projects because, you guessed it, he didn't have a need to know.
The speaker calls this peer-to-peer containment, and the idea is pretty wild. It's that within any elite group, say the US Senate, you only need 1 or 2 insiders who are tasked with misleading all their colleagues, the other 98 senators. The source claims that even really powerful people like Senator Clyburn Pell were totally stonewalled. And get this, that since the mid-50s, not a single US president has had true operational control over these projects.
Okay, so the structure itself is compartmentalization. But how do you enforce that? How do you keep people in line socially and psychologically? Well, you need a tool that makes people afraid to even ask the questions in the first place.
According to this theory, the most effective weapon isn't threats or violence, it's ridicule. The claim is that there was a deliberate, multi-decade psychological warfare campaign specifically designed to attach a kook factor to this entire subject. And what was the goal? Simple: to make it absolute career suicide for any serious scientist or journalist or politician to even go near it. And the speaker argues this wasn't some random thing that just happened. The theory points to a very specific timeline. We're talking CIA documents from the 50s that allegedly outline this exact strategy. Then, in the 50s and 60s, you have renowned scientists secretly being paid to be public debunkers. Then, official investigations, like the Condon Committee, were supposedly steered to a predetermined negative conclusion from the start. And the end result? A powerful social stigma that, the source claims, works just as effectively today. So, why? Why do all this? What could possibly be so important that it would require this massive, multi-layered system of control and psychological warfare?
Well, the answer, according to our source material, isn't just about whether aliens exist or not. No, it's about something much bigger. It's about technology. And what that technology would mean for the entire global economic system as we know it.
At the heart of the secret is allegedly the physics and the technology related to a brand new energy source. You might have heard it called zero-point energy. Basically, it represents the potential for limitless, clean power that would totally revolutionize our world and make our entire current energy infrastructure, well, obsolete.
So why the crazy intense secrecy? The speaker argues it all comes down to this one number. Citing contacts at Goldman Sachs, the theory claims the value of all known oil, gas, coal, and nuclear reserves, assets that would become worthless practically overnight, is somewhere around $600 trillion. We are not just talking about one industry here. We are talking about the very foundation of the entire global economy.
And this table really lays out the core challenge. According to the source, for the last 100 years, anybody who tried to invent, patent, and sell this kind of technology, they hit a dead end. Their work was bought up and classified, or they and their invention just disappeared. So the proposed solution is to just bypass that whole system. You make the technology open source, you let it go viral, and then it becomes impossible to stop.
Okay, so if the system is literally designed to prevent this kind of information from ever coming out from the top, what's the alternative? And that brings us to our final section, the proposed path forward.
The speaker basically argues that waiting around for some kind of official disclosure is a total dead end. The theory is that the elites are either completely unwilling to face the chaos that would come, or, like we've been talking about, they're simply not in control and are unable to act. So that leads to a pretty clear conclusion. If change is going to happen, it has to come from the bottom up.
So the proposed solution is a really clear three-part grassroots strategy. First, more whistleblowers and insiders have to come forward to create a critical mass of evidence that can't be ignored. Second, citizen-led teams should start trying to initiate peaceful, open contact, taking the whole process out of official hands. And third, the public has to crowdfund open-source energy research, creating tech that by its very nature can't be bought, patented, or hidden away.
And that really leaves us with the central challenge posed by all of this. If a change this profound is really on the horizon, the path it takes is going to depend on one thing. Will leadership come from the traditional centers of power, from the elites, or will it come from a decentralized, global, grassroots movement of the people? The real question is, which path is humanity on right now?